Hello, I tried to make a new version of my call for peace, which is maybe a little bit quicker than my previous attempt. And I believe that the ancient ones, the pharaohs, the emperors, used to search the company and guidance of wise men, religious authorities and philosophers, to be by their side, to advise them and to educate their children. Along the centuries, we see that this costume is more and more forgotten, and often I've been astonished. Princes and kings, queens and presidents, they seem to miss completely anyone who puts them in the right place as far as spiritual, philosophical or ethical questions are concerned. I mean, in some big issues. It is amazing that what has been done along the ages without getting a reprehension or a help, an orientation, inspiration to do what anyone in that position needs to do, to fight evil and to create the possibility for goodness for the people. So, in the case of President Obama, I have a wonderful spiritual support for him, and which I think it answers, it replies to Obama's quest about how to deal with Syria. And this spiritual guide, which I invite President Obama to listen to, says the following. These words are very well known, both to American public and to Americans and to President Obama, but it's always spoken of the words. But the practice is the opposite of this. As far as foreign policy of the United States of America, and really, if I can, of course, it would be very useful and very nice if there are American people who would like to communicate with me and who listen to me or something. But for the moment, for me, the easiest is to imagine that I'm talking to President Obama, and look if this is not an answer to you. Hate begets hate. Violence begets violence. Toughness begets a greater toughness. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. Our aim must never be to defeat or humiliate the white man, but to win his friendship and understanding. So if you substitute white men by Middle East men, Islam, Muslim men, you have an answer to the problems and to the fact that everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people are seeing that all these interventions and all these wars brought, if I may say so, nothing good. Martin Luther King tells you the ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Okay? It's, just so obvious, and you have all the proofs you want. You have all the proofs you need, from war in Vietnam to Timor's genocide to, you know, interventions. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you may murder the hater, but you do not murder hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. What better answer do you want, do you need, all people of America who think, who believe that that this is really necessary or the best way of dealing with the problems? Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So, my suggestion in coming videos is going to be, whatever way I can act, is going to be about what we can do interiorly, is not to accuse only the other or only you, and as if then all the people don't have a role in all this. I think it has a spiritual reason, and this spiritual reason is there for everybody to work on and to help you to be able to change for better. So I think that he's a great guide for you, and he's black, and if I hear you speaking about change, what I wanted to tell you also is that these words are not the words of a man who only had a dream. They are the words of a man who knows something, who is sure of something. So if you can trust, if you would turn to God and trust, then you can be sure that there are other solutions. I should even take the word other, because the other are not solutions. Change for better or change for worse? What would be a real change? If Mr. President Obama, the first black president of America, would bring to America a new politics, external politics, politics of peace, politics of wisdom, politics which invites respect and gives good example instead of violence. Politics conscious of that to be a good president, to be a good country leader, or to be a good world leading it has to be based on love, just as good care for children and good raising of a child has to be based on love and understanding. So, if all the suffering of the black people of ages being oppressed, ignored, misunderstood, enslaved, sold, abused, misused, and taken out of their, made impossible to develop whatever what they can develop, if all that would be turned by you as the first black American president, and it would be turned into a fruit, a beautiful fruit of a discovery that you can do different. That instead of asking all the help of all the world, or even forcing European countries to seem to do the same, if you would ask all the help of everybody to, that we don't make war, but that we have to start other ways of dealing with the problems, because these wars are not were fit for, you know, a long time ago, when men could only fight more or less man to man with a few little guns, and that is now required of us, that we develop spiritually, and that we discover other ways. Just like we had to discover that children become good and beautiful children if we raise them properly, and it is impossible to raise children properly if we don't give lots of love, and if we don't understand them, and if we don't love them. So these people, to deal with these people, requires understanding, respect, and you know what Martin Luther King is telling you. I can only guarantee you that if this is done with God, I can guarantee you success. I heard you saying that the world cannot be waiting for projects which fail, or which are failing. The only failure, the real failure, is more war, and all the results, the negative results from the previous wars, which the United States of America has been provoking. That's real failure. Failure is never to try good, to be fighting, struggling for good, something which is loving your next man, your brother man, struggling with that, sometimes failing until you find a way. That is not failure. But failure to understand that that more violence, more terrible weapons, that is a failure, and a big failure. It is sold. It is said that it is the use of men who feel powerless, who are actually hiding their weakness, their powerlessness, and then they go and get and make incredible, bad, evil weapons which poison the whole earth for everybody, like depleted uranium, which we are all breathing because it comes in the air. And even if we were not all breathing, it was serious enough that those people stayed breathing it, eating it for infinite amount of time. These are so serious things. So if we want to go back to the if you I don't say it is easy. I can imagine on the other hand, you know, they always say the first steps are the most difficult. You know, the difficulty of doing good is nothing, but absolutely nothing, comparing to the pain and effort which is being done in the wrong direction. What can be more difficult than to spend all the creativity of young people into terrible laboratories, making terrible weapons which destroy the whole world, earth, which poison everything and everybody. You know, making ugly things. These people, do you think they are happy that you are happy when you make all weapons to you know, to destroy? You don't get any happiness. And all your people of the United States of America, apart from other ones that are harmed, all those people do a lot of effort. You know, so much intelligence that you are using, so many genius that you are using. My God, President Obama, can you not see the obvious? When all this energy, when all this creativity, when all this capacity, when all this ingenuity, when all this will for work, when all these people who are willing to offer their lives for you, for the United States, for something bigger than themselves, for what they think is good, when all this energy is used for good, then luck, happiness multiplies to everybody, you know, to everybody. It would be really a challenge and really exciting to see you taking a step of saying, wait a minute, something is really strange here, and I'm going to use my position as a president to start a new time in history for the United States of America. Now, that would be really a change. The rest is not change, Mr. President. The rest is what has been done all this time. Wars and wars and wars. Terrible. Giving space and origin to all kind of terrible crimes, creating a lot of difficulties. So you can choose between that or between going on in a way which sooner or later will do what Einstein is saying. And who wants that? Who wants that? You know, if you, maybe some people who like to eat Paleolithic food, diet, maybe some people who would like to try for a while, had to be Vilma and Fred Flintstone, but I'm sure they would only want it for a little time, not to wait again thousands and thousands of years until we evolve to the same stage where we are now, where we will have to make all the decisions again which we could and should be taking now. To see at that time that we are not in the good direction, let us change direction, but for better. I can only think of one advantage, and that is that Monsanto would also not be anymore. But again, it doesn't help much because Monsanto would be there again at the same moment, the same stage of evolution after thousands of years. So it would be starting all over again, and some religious people say that we did it already. That's how we started back at in a very primitive state of mind. So, and that seems to happen when people get very arrogant about their power and their capacities. Well, it is a long story already, and that is not nice, but I have something still to say. Well, I'll make it part 2 then, so that this does not get too long. So, thank you for listening.